up, broadcasters? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Branding Banter, where you can get all the nerdy news you need to know. I'm Jeff Franklin, National Accounts Manager with Headwear USA.
Hi, I'm Mike Erber, Director of Sales and Chief Experience Officer of the Barkin Buoy on Moosehead Lake.
And there I'm National Manager also.
When I was April Fools.
April
Fools.
I found some cool stuff when I was down there. I just found this in a box.
I found some playing cards too. Like, I don't know where that came from. Whole new deck.
Man.
Oh, we should invite the kids back more often.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. That was so cute.
All right, what's up, broadcasters? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Branding Banter, your promotional products podcast where you can get all the nerdy news you need to know about. My name is Jeff Franklin, National Accounts Manager with Headwear USA.
And I'm Meg Gerber.
Yep.
Okay.
You are.
And you are. All right. We're good. Yeah. Not April Fools either. And then I'm Sarah Goshgarian Unruh, National Sales Manager at Stalls.
Yeah, man, I didn't think that through actually. Oh, I've had weeks.
What, just the Meg Gerber?
Just the Meg Gerber.
Yeah. Addie did a good job introducing me, but you know.
You ain't no fool. Ain't no fool. So here's the deal, all right? We're recording this on April Fools, which is why you're getting the joke a few days late. This episode is being aired on Friday the 4th, so apologies for the late April Fools, but hey, when you record or publish not on the day that you're trying to do these things, it is what it is. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that little fun intro. But Meg, you've got some news that you would like to share with us, yes?
Yeah, man, I'm a little nervous actually. So
are you?
I mean, it is April 1st, so you could take that for what it is. But effective today, I have decided to resign as Director of Sales at Proforma. So there it is.
There it is.
There it is. There it is.
It's not April Fool's though. It's legit.
Is it? Is it
jokes on us, Jeff. Jokes on us.
See, now you're going to be making people wonder.
Right?
You know?
That's all right. They'll find out next Friday when they get the next introduction and it's still Jeff Gerber.
Yeah.
And
Well, all right, so you're, like posting a lot on your Instagram about something not that I've been stalking you. No, I'm just kidding. But it comes across in my story about like these like dog voting type things. So I don't know.
Okay.
What's your next adventure?
So, okay, I guess I'll start from the beginning on this. So a couple of years ago, when we bought this house in Maine, we knew that this place was just so magical and we just fell in love with it. And I know that sounds corny, but it's just a place that I fell in love with. The people, the community. I immediately invested myself into 2 boards that were 501c3s up there about land conservation and just some amazing things. And I kept saying, man, I want to open up a store here, just do something, because downtown has like 5 insurance companies and like 3 realtors, and it had 2 yarn stores at one point. So I will say the Economic Development Center.
What's up, broadcasters?
Businesses that come in, but there's no one leaving, right? It's just people that have been there forever. So there was no commercial properties. There was no nothing. It was just as is. 2 years ago, a developer came in, built up some really nice buildings on the lake, and I tried to get in then, and it was like the list is a mile long. So at Christmas time, so mind you, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, this was the plan. I'm like, man, I would just love to do this. And I didn't know what kind of shop. I'm like, all right, I've been doing this promotional product thing for a couple of years. Maybe I'll just do like a little retail t-shirt shop or something. But after being there for 2 years, I realized that's not what the town needed at all. They had 3 other t-shirt shops, right? Like, it's just not what they needed. And I noticed that, we have dogs. We love our pets. There's nowhere within minimum 2 hours from me to go get anything, pet food, supplies, treats. My dogs have a very special diet because they have allergies. We go hiking. There's nowhere, and we go on the boat, and then there's nowhere to do like a doggy wash unless you want to bring them into your house or your Airbnb. I felt really bad because I had to use the hose. It was so cold. I'm sorry. Don't judge me. It was all we had. We had. And my floors just got in. I was like, I'm sorry, guys, but they were not happy with me. And I realized like there's nothing up there to service the people and their pets. I know this sounds so strange, but it is a very big touristy community as well, and people bring their animals, and it's like everybody has their dogs. It's a very pet friendly area, but there's nowhere to like to buy anything. There's no doggy daycares. There's no anything up there. And there's some places that you actually can't take your dogs, like Baxter State Park, which is one of the most beautiful mountains to climb in that area. And you can't take your dog. If you want to go to Acadia, it's like 3 hours away. So having a doggy daycare, pet boutique, what else? Treats, all those things, like there's just nothing there. So we've been working on our business plan for the last couple of years, and at Christmas time this year, actually, I was just on Facebook as we were leaving, and I saw that the yarn store was going out of business. And I was like, I mean, I'm not wishing that on anybody by any means. The lady is so sweet. Patty is just so sweet. But there's also a yarn store across the street. So, so I reached out. I tried to find who the owner was, and he was like, Meg, love your enthusiasm, but again, the list is a mile long. To get in here, actually, the boutique next door is moving in, and someone else is moving in there. And I was like, oh man, like my heart, I got my hopes up again. And he's like, but I actually just bought this little brown building on the side road, or the other road on the lake. And I was like, no way. He's like, yeah, why don't you just take a look at it, see if you like it. So we went over there, checked it out, and I'm like, this is perfect. It's right across the street from the lake. The view is the Kate, which is an old steamboat from like the 1800s that used to do like logging. It's like an attraction. It's a museum, but they take tours all the time. We're right across the street from where every event is, and it's just so exciting. So we started the Bark and Buoy. It is a premier pet boutique, doggy daycare. You can buy food, treats, the whole 9 yards. And we open up Memorial Day weekend. So what you were seeing on Instagram, where my children are just great with social media, because we were like, oh, let's paint a mural on the wall. My one daughter is an artist, and we love that. And we thought, oh, maybe we'll get some of the local pups. So they made a post, and they were like, hey, submit your pups for a chance to be on our mural. Well, the responses were overwhelming. We thought we were going to get 4 or 5. We got over 80. And we had to cut the contest off a week early. And there were so many and so many cute dogs that I couldn't decide. I was like, there's no way I can be responsible for that.
Yeah.
So we put together like a March Madness tournament, and it just ended. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. And the amount of emails and messages and phone calls that I've received from people in the town, it just solidified my reasoning for doing this. They are so excited that we're coming. They're so grateful. I'm trying not to cry, but some lady at the lumber store reached out to me, and she's like, we have 4 Great Danes and 2 cats, and we feed them open farm, but we're willing to switch over to whatever you're selling to support you. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, it just meant so much. It's these little things, and I was just getting messages like this all the time. And I'm like, don't worry, we're selling open farm. But the people that would go that far to just support somebody that's coming in to do something for the town, I'm just so excited. I'm really happy, and my whole family gets to do it. And I'm doing this so we can spend more time together, because as you know, I've been doing this for 20 some years, plus years, and I've missed a lot of birthdays and first days of schools. You guys know, I mean, Sarah, you're in a different city every other week, it feels like.
It feels like it does, yeah.
Different continent, you mean?
Continent, state, all of the things.
Yeah.
All of the things.
So
Well,
that's
congratulations.
Yeah.
Do you want me to show the photo, Meg?
Oh yeah, sure, if you have it, just so you guys can see it. So this is Greenville. That big white building in the middle is the Shaw building. That was like from the 1800s. And then up the street a little bit is a little brown building, and that is 17 Lily Bay Road in Greenville, Maine. And right across the street in the water is the Katahdin, which is called the Kate, which is the old steamboat that I was just telling you about. So if you ever get to Greenville, stop in and see me at the Bark and Buoy. And I'm not out of the industry completely. You know, I will always have, it is Hotel California, but I will be in small amounts, obviously with podcasts, some stuff with Promotions East and Promo Cares, and who knows, I have some things up my sleeve. So we'll
I mean, you're technically an end user now, so
Yeah.
you're still in the industry, and we get an end user's perspective every week.
Yeah, and
Sure.
I'm buying a ton of merchandise from this industry to be sold at the Bark and Buoy. So that's really exciting, and I can't wait to like kind of show it off.
I can't wait to
Very
see
cool.
what all of your choices have been.
I know. Well, I will say a lot of the people that we know, love, and trust in this industry are a big part of this journey, and a big part of the product selection as well. So stay tuned.
Well, congrats. Yay.
Thank you. I know it's exciting, and I know there's probably, you know, a lot of people.
Like, that is the longest April Fool's joke that I've ever.
I know, ever.
Sorry,
right?
I know I was rambling. I apologize. I got
God.
I didn't know what to say.
Jeff, I feel like in May, before the grand opening, we should go out there and we could do a whole like filming episode at Bark and Buoy.
Yes.
Yeah. Wouldn't be a bad idea.
All
right. Well, we're also just coming off of ASI Fort Worth, which Sarah, unfortunately, you were the only one of the three of us that attended. Headwear USA was there, but you know,
Headwear was there. I did have dinner.
Nick and Michael were there.
With your boys.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
That's okay. You know, I can tolerate them.
Yeah. So how was it? I mean, do we want to launch? Like, how do you want to start the coverage of ASI Fort Worth?
So Jeff and I were at in Orlando together, and so it ended up being a similar format of that Saturday was education, Sunday was first day of the show. Although they started the show a little bit later on Sunday because Texas, as you know, is a big church-going kind of area community, and so the floor opened at noon on Sunday, and it went until 5, which I think for all of us from a supplier standpoint, we really weren't sure what to expect, but we were all very pleasantly surprised, I will say. It was very well attended on Sunday, and even on Saturday where the education was pretty well attended. And they had their new product reception was on Saturday. That also was well attended, which then transitioned to Sunday, of which I think a lot of us were kind of standing around of like, what, like we're not used to noon starts for sure. And so I feel like everyone was bright-eyed. And again, you know, I think one of the positives really that you'd say is that there was no other business going on. So people that were there on the show floor were there intentionally looking at products and having great conversations. We were busy nonstop from just about 12 until the doors ended at 5 o'clock. And so they then transitioned about 4 o'clock. They had kind of their happy hour barbecue reception because they did not do a gala this year. And so they, because of weather.
I was gonna say, I heard they had really bad weather.
On
like
Sunday, it randomly hailed at like 3:30 in the afternoon. And so a lot of people have never seen hail. So if you were outside, you got to witness what hail is in Texas. And so, but it was brief, it wasn't long, but long enough that they had to transition everything from an outdoor setting from the gala to indoors, which was good that they were able to make that transition. So they had that inside from 4 to 7 happy hour and then barbecue there. But there were a lot of great meetings with other distributors that I had, I know, and then transitioned to dinner Sunday night to then the show on Monday, which was interesting. Monday's traffic, I'll just be honest, was not the same as what Sunday looked like. And so it was a little bit of a slower start, and Monday was 10 to 4. So it was a lot longer from a day's perspective. But I, you know, timing end of the month, end of the quarter, it was just, it was hard, but I did see and reconnect with a lot of customers who I actually haven't seen in a minute. Some of my customers from New York, from whenever I was with Logomark, like I ran into, was like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you pre-COVID, which then transitioned, and we can talk about this in a moment, that it's been 5 years since COVID. And so it just was this like, you know, like kind of like full circle moment. So it was always great to have those connections, but it was good to see that it wasn't just local from a regional perspective that was pulled into the Texas show. There was there was attendance from a lot of other states, and people did make a trip out of this, a vacation out of it, which was good to see.
Well, that's actually an interesting, or leads to an interesting question then, because you had mentioned on Sunday, obviously they didn't start until noon because they're, being from down south, a lot more church-going folk. So with so many people traveling in for that show, do you think that was the right call, considering it was the busier day of the show?
That's a good question. I think with having the education on Saturday, I do think then it allowed for people to really ingrain themselves inside of education. If that was the reason, I think sometimes education, a lot of times I think people just don't pay a lot of attention, and they don't invest in that from a time perspective. I think whenever it does come onto a Saturday, I think it does allow for people to invest in themselves and spend some time of like learning. And I think that is a benefit to me of having it. And so then you could have come in on Saturday, had some great learning, knowledge, education, flowed into Sunday, be able to hit the showroom floor for a little bit, see all the vendors, and then probably then head home, and then in order to do business on Monday. So
Yeah, that sounds
But
right.
I guess the premise behind the question is, if there's people traveling in, they're obviously not going to their home church. So
no.
should the show
Yeah.
have started at an earlier hour on Sunday,
Oh.
considering it was the first day of the show and the better attended day of the
Well,
show?
before she answers, I will say what I was hearing just from my performa owners, that they were not going to go on Sunday because of church. But maybe that's why I think that was really good that they started so late. I didn't realize it was so late. Maybe they didn't have time, but I did find out they ended up going. So I think that later time was to accommodate the locals who did want to go to church, because that was a big thing that I was hearing.
Yeah.
I don't know about the people from that are coming from New Jersey, New York, and traveling in. They usually, I would say, probably don't normally go to it. Like, I don't know. Do they?
Yeah. I mean, when you look at we still had people on the floor between 4 and 5, and so you always kind of, sometimes when the happy hour starts or whatever, you tend to get a little thin from an attendance perspective on the floor. That wasn't the case, and so I don't know if it is that just people then were able to do other things on Sunday that they needed to do from a business perspective, and then, or attend church or whatever, to spend time with family if they were more local, to then transition into the rest of the show. But we could have done 11, we could have done 10, but then I think it's also then having people hang around. So then that way, then, there is more potential for them to spend some time there on Monday.
Yeah.
So do we like the whole weekend ordeal, or do they need to move the dates back?
No,
to
I think they need to
weekday?
move the dates.
I think, as someone who is just leaving the industry on this level, I would say that the weekend travel is a killer for people who work all week long and then have to work all weekend and then go right back into a work week. It causes burnout. It causes serious burnout. And let me say it louder for those in the back. It causes burnout. And it's weekend after weekend after weekend. And so I think something does need to change. I think it does. But that's my own perspective.
Well, there are a lot of people trying to get out of Dallas on Monday, and distributors or suppliers, both sides, I will say. But I know a lot of suppliers were transitioning to the next event that was then starting on Tuesday. And so some of them weren't arriving to their destinations until 3, 4 in the morning, just because of flight delays, because of weather and stuff. And so it does, to your point, like, it wears people down.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's the interesting thing too, though, is that they did, like, people obviously have the choice to vote. I mean, if they're only going to go to the show for one day, you're either going to go on Sunday or you're going to go on Monday. Unless you're staying the night and you're partaking in the education and everything on Saturday, then of course you're going to go Sunday, because that's what makes sense.
That's how they sell the hotel rooms, and they have to sell the hotel rooms.
But if people are making such a fuss about the weekend, why was Sunday the more attended day of the show? And obviously ASI would have assumed that Monday would have been the more attended day as well, because that's the longer show hours. I mean, you said they went from 10 to 4.
Yeah, 10 to 4. It was a long day.
That's a long day, especially with no attendance.
Right.
Not no attendance, but low attendance.
Low attendance. Yeah.
So, with, I don't know. I mean, it's just interesting to think about. You would think more people would just go on Monday.
That's what I think. I thought was going to happen. I think that's what a lot of
We
people.
all did. I will
thought was
tell
going
you,
to
I will
happen.
say, like out of the gate, we all thought Sundays there's hardly going to be anybody there, and Monday will be like the busy day. Like even if
Yeah.
I was pre-planning, we had to shift from people in our booth that were going to attend, and I was like, no big deal, we'll be fine on Sunday. It's not even that long, right? You just think from an hour's perspective, like we'll be fine. It's not going to be well attended. In my mind, it was thinking 12 to 4. People will transition to the happy hour once alcohol comes out. You tend to lose them in the first place. But that's not what happened. And so we were all surprised. And Stalls is typically stationed right near Sanmar. I mean, and they probably had 20 people in their booth from a staff perspective. They were busy nonstop. And so, yeah, we all actually turned to each other on Monday and we're like, what happened yesterday? Like that was crazy. So,
Well, usually the first days are the busier days, but I think because of it being a short day and because of it being on a Sunday, they anticipated that Monday would be that. So that's interesting. I will say, I mean, we've said this a ton of times that the traditional way to do trade shows is dying and it has to evolve and it has to change. And I see what people are trying to do. I think switching it up, it's just a lot. Something has to give. I know we're doing that for the Promotion Z's coming up too. So
a lot of people who came in, attended Saturday for education. Sunday, then they attended the floor. They may have stayed for the gala or had some dinners with suppliers, and then they left Monday morning. A lot of people are like, "I'm out first thing in the morning, so I won't see you on the show floor on Sunday." So that's what a lot of people ended up doing, was traveling back early Monday from a distributor standpoint.
Interesting.
At least those that I talked to.
Yeah, get back to work.
Yeah.
Which would make sense. I mean, if you're traveling in, from out of town or whatever, you'd probably take advantage of the Saturday education and the show Sunday.
Yeah.
And realistically, most of these shows really are just a one-day show. It doesn't take 2 days necessarily to walk through those shows.
No.
Unless you're doing it the right way and you're talking to every supplier and trying to gather as much information as you can, rather than putting blinders on and just going to do what you want to do. But so I mean that kind of makes sense, but again, back to Meg's point, that's supreme burnout on both the supplier and distributor side for sure.
I've heard it's changing for next year, so we'll see what the dates are. I know they haven't been announced, but I've heard they are making that shift away from weekends.
Oh, good.
I don't think the feedback has been good. So,
yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Anything else to cover?
Yeah, I know it's probably late and we probably already lost people with my rambling, but I want to congratulate Joe Hoffman. He has been a friend of mine for, probably the better part of 20 years. He recently was promoted to Chief Operating Officer over at I Promote You. So congratulations. Man, he's just one of the best people I know. And I was in a group chat over the weekend, or actually I don't even know what day it is. Today's Tuesday, right? Wednesday, Tuesday. So this was yesterday. But just so many people love and adore him. And I saw that it was on ASI as well. So I just wanted to give a shout out and congratulate him. And that's all. Congratulations.
Congrats, Joe.
Yeah, Joe's a good dude for sure.
Yeah.
And Sarah, you are going to lead next week. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm going to lead. Although the email that I received this morning, I just have to say, they were like, we heard the cherry blossoms peaked. And I was like, no, they needed to wait like 1 more week.
Even if they peaked, it's still going to be beautiful. It's worth going down to the title.
Yeah. It was 80.
It
was so nice. So nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited. I'm still excited. So
very cool.
Aww.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, if that's everything for this episode, I guess we'll be seeing you next time, right?
Yeah. See you.
April Fools?
Maybe.
Oh.
We'll see.
Maybe.
All right. See you guys.
I was dying. That was perfect. That was good.
I'm sorry. I knew.
And jump on the table. Stop it.